My dad was rooted in strong values. There was little doubt about how or where my dad stood about anything. He let you know what was right and what was wrong. He had high expectations of his children, his wife, and himself. There are not a lot of in-betweens in his beliefs. You knew when your dress was too short, your hair was too long, and your return from a date too late. Those beliefs were founded in love, family, and God. We prayed before we ate. You were on time for meals. You asked to be excused when you were finished. You did homework before you did other things. You spoke when spoken to. You knew who was in charge, and you towed the well-defined line. You learned discipline. Honor thy father and thy mother. And yet, Dad taught us all to drive in the center of the road, to drive defensively, to see what was coming and have plenty of space to maneuver if needed. This habit of center driving was much noticed by family and friends. For after all, it is a very noticeable driving trait. Somehow, though, it seemed to be a great metaphor for his life. Be in the middle, don't overeat any one thing, know that all people are good, try to use moderation. One of the characteristics I most admired about my dad was his openness and idealism. He always was ready to learn new things and to discuss. He took in the news about the not-so-good state of the world and the economy and kept believing in people and the world as being a good place. If we were to implement my father's idea, these are the things that would happen. TV would be different. There'd be no sex, no violence, especially no bad words. TV can never replace TLC, he said. Everyone would go to worship somewhere, someday, during the week. There would be a national lunch of soup. 1/2 can Campbell's chicken noodle or chicken with rice, and sandwich, lunch meat and cheese, served at exactly 12 o'clock every day. Children would be brought up in a 2-parent family, and every couple would have them. Children, that is. Moms would stay home and do the #1 most important job in the world, rear children. We would all have cocktails at 5 o'clock. And talk about our day. Then we would all sit down and eat together. They mix up these memories of a 60-year-old little girl. They would be different if they were written by my brothers, my mom, my niece, my nephews, his sons or daughters-in-law, his friends, his patients, my cousins, all the people in this room, my aunt. My memories include his fast footsteps running down the stairs, always in a hurry, his singing, "Oh, how I hate to get up in the morning," over the intercom on Sunday morning. His reading medical journals in the living room, his coffee, half milk and sugar, a dash of coffee. His teaching my brothers how to ski and ending up speeding down a pretty steep mountain himself. "Don't worry about your old dad." His watch and ski poles flying. His planting flowers and tomatoes all over the sun deck at 28 Woodmer Lane, an explosion of colors. And his dancing. His dancing at country club parties, at Holly balls, at Gilkey Lake Tavern, at family weddings. His twirls and his dips were well known by his dancing partners, many of whom are here today. He loved to dance, and he did it with a unique style. Tonight, the winter dance is being held at North Point. That's where he was living at the time. And I know his spirit will be dancing among his friends. His love of the water, the Hudson, Gull Lake, the ocean, especially around Fort Myers and Boardwalk Caper, Canadian fishing lakes. His complete joy of being with his friends, playing golf, bridge, fishing, going to Canada, skiing, going to parties, church, events at North Point, the waterfront restaurant, potluck gatherings. As I mentioned, at the time of his death, he was in the middle of writing an autobiography entitled My Stories. They are beautifully written, vignettes of his life growing up in New York, and they also include chapters entitled, Isn't It Time for True Gun Control? Smoking Facts, and To Be Loved, Love. Quoting just a couple of things that he wrote from this last chapter, he said, Love is the greatest of all God's gifts. If only we could appreciate and value our differences in race, religion, and boundaries, and remove and disclaim the word hatred and substitute love, and truly forgive trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, eternal peace and God's will would prevail. This autobiography will be completed along with the pictures he wanted included and will be a continued legacy of my dad. In recent days, many stories about my dad have been shared with our family. Patients have told us how much they respected and loved him and valued his care. One woman shared with me about how he had taken care of 3 generations of her family, having made house calls to her grandmother. She talked about his telling her to eat God's food, nuts, roots, and fruit. A nurse in the hospital who talked about his arriving to deliver a baby in his snowshoes. No other way to get there in the blizzard that was raging outside. And another mother who told me about his coming off the 9th hole just in time to deliver her baby. He timed it just right. And about the time he arrived at the hospital in his bedroom slippers. He was always in a hurry. There's a country song entitled Daddy's Hands. My dad's hands have touched so much. When I think of my dad, I often think first of his hands. Dark complexion, gold wedding ring, long, elegant fingers. Hands that molded so much and helped so many. Hands that touched my mom, my brothers, all of us in this room. A multitude of patients, good and long-time friends. Hands of an artist, a golfer, a writer, a skier, a fisherman, a gardener, a bridge player, a dancer, a doctor. Hands of a father, my father. Everyone here knows how Salvatore A. Yannitelli lit up a room with his charismatic personality. He will continue to light up our memories and our hearts in the coming years.